Outside cinema, let's move on to our final film of today's show, Louder Than Bombs.
Yeah, so Louder Than Bombs is a film directed by Joachim Trier. He did one of last decade's one of the highest rated films, Oslo August 31st, which is a Norwegian film. This is an English language film he's back with now. Basically, Isabelle Huppert plays a war photographer, photojournalist called Isabelle Reed, and her career was cut sadly short by death, and which generally just can end careers quite soon. And basically there's an exhibition being brought back together where all of her work is going to be displayed and her life celebrated, and an article printed in the paper to celebrate her life. All of the members of her family come back together to arrange this. Eldest son, played by Jesse Eisenberg, Jonah, comes back. His wife's just given birth and he comes back across country to deal with this. Her widow Jean, played by Gabriel, Byrne's there, and the youngest son Conrad, who is sort of an introvert. He spends most of his time playing video games, and basically Louder Than Bombs spends a lot of time dealing with how she affected the family. There's a lot of flashbacks where it shows her being just her general role in the family, along with her work in general, and how she dealt with her life, and just the general sort of ins and outs of the family life and how they work together, their relationships. And what I really, really loved about this film was that it deals with all of its elements in a way that's sensitive, in a way that's respectful to all of them. And I have seen reviews that say it treats its subjects like lab rats, in the way that it sort of prods and probes them, like, come on, do stuff for like emotional trauma and impact. But I don't feel like that's that at all, because it takes an objective standpoint and it looks at them all, because like a bomb, her death has left a massive impact on all of them. It sort of shattered them together. You've got Gabriel, Byrne's patriarch Jean, who is, he's been left stranded in this role of his eldest son, who is now left and is still a very stressful life, and his youngest son, who can't seem to communicate with, because he is he's very introverted. He doesn't like to converse with him, and he's very lost in his own life. So they've all got vices, and they've all got problems with their own lives. I mean, Conrad, the youngest son, can't really speak to people. He's very introverted. He doesn't really have many friends at school. The eldest son, Jonah, played by Jesse Eisenberg, is very he's having problems sort of dealing with his new baby and his marriage, and that's leading him to maybe having a fling with a former lover. So they've all got problems that are being dealt with, and it's all started from this flashpoint by the death of Isabelle. And it turns out her death wasn't actually an accident, it was actually a suicide. So a lot of the story's focal drama comes from the fact that how did they tell their youngest son that it wasn't an accident because he was too young when she died? How did they tell her that it was suicide? So it's very compelling to see them sort of discuss how it's going to happen. And it's a very, very quiet drama, very nicely paced, and you get to see all of them shine. I mean, Jesse Eisenberg, coming from Batman vs Superman, this is a complete polar opposite of that Jim Carrey-like Lex Luthor.
It is,
and you get to see him emote in a way that I haven't seen him do since like The Social Network. It's a really standout turn from him, and I think Isabelle Huppert steals the show every time she's on screen. She's got sort of that ethereal presence, she does kind of pop in and out of frame sometimes. With Conrad sort of envisions her in moments of stress, so she appears sometimes, and you never really know sometimes if that's actually her there until they sort of converse with her. So it's very much sort of a fantastical view on that. But I think because it is such a minute drama in the fact that it allows all of the characters to stand out, and it is just about how a broken family can come back together and be there for each other in a way that matters, in a way that celebrates the life of this woman who obviously was a massive influence on all of them. And it's really, it doesn't do that typical thing when a family drama where it often goes towards like screams and massive sort of character moments. It goes towards empathy and general understanding of the family's troubles and how they deal with each other. And because of that, it's a terrific success. And there's one scene in particular where the music and the cinematography and everything combine perfectly, and that's a scene where Conrad sort of finally discovers a way that he can talk to a girl and will talk to people, and that will sort of emote his feelings and his thoughts, and that's through like a document, and it's played out in this wonderful scene that just keeps building and building and building, where it reveals like sort of his entire personality. And I think that might be one of my favourite scenes of the year, because it's so well done, and it really gets you to know the characters.
It takes quite a lot of exposition, doesn't it, and sort of makes it a bit more interesting.
Yeah, it does.
Because it's pure exposition, isn't it?
Yeah, but it puts it in that fantastical edge, and it makes you believe in him as a character, and you sort of understand his mindset at that point. And it's a wonderful, wonderful film, and I could not recommend this more, because it is so quietly paced, and it is so just generally it's not what you would expect from a family drama that involves, death and suicide and something of this magnitude, and of this woman who's left an incredible legacy, but also left behind the broken parts of her family and how they get back together. And because of that, it's terrific, and I have to recommend it.
I wasn't actually sure what the film was about going into it, so
was I.
It was quite a surprise when it was what it was. I wasn't expecting the sort of non-linear, fantastical drama that it was. And it's really, really interesting. I like the performance from Jesse Eisenberg, even if his character, some of the things that he does are quite slimy.
Yeah.
You could say this character's not exactly completely
But it makes
likable,
him human.
but it makes him human, and that's interesting. Louder Than Bombs is out now at the Tyneside Cinema, and is a recommend from both of us.
Absolutely.